All right, some of the biggest issues that we see with the Kawasaki Brute Force 750 are the cam chains, the cam chain tensioners, and they start to fail. Well, then you have too much clearance or too much movement from where the cam should be. This bottom end here where we've got our cam chains, this is our cam chain going to our rear cylinder, cam chain going to our front cylinder is over here. We've got our cam chain that runs down to the crank that controls this cam chain. Then we've got a chain that goes down to our oil pump here. So several things that could potentially go wrong. I believe, in my opinion, that is where Kawasaki is screwed up. We've got way too many chains in here, way too many parts that could potentially go wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this oil pump. I'm gonna pull this chain going up to our cam chain here, and I'm gonna pull that rear cam chain there. This cam chain tensioner here, we've got two 8mm bolts there. We've got this guide here, it's a small guide. We've got a tensioner here. Go ahead and pull this at this time. That tensioner is out. You can see it's spring loaded in there. We've got the guide down here. Again, all parts that can go bad. These guides start wearing and you have too much slap in that chain. I'm gonna remove these oil pump 8mm here. Oil pump is off now with that chain. Got a couple Allens here. These two Allens will remove this guide to the left of this chain here. This isn't a moving guide, this one is stationary. Snap ring pliers here to remove this one. Pull that guide off there. And we've got another snap ring here. That one's off. Okay, we've removed these two Allens here. There's a little plate that is underneath of that gear. Okay, once we get that clip off of there, I'm gonna pull this oil line here. I'm gonna pull our oil sensor here. I'm gonna grab this plate. To get this shaft off of here, well, to get this chain off of here, you actually gotta come from the other side, pull this shaft through there, that drops that gear down. So to remove those parts there, we've got to come in from the other side. So I'm going to remove a handful of these bolts here while we're here. And we've got our oil fill here. We've got a sensor down here. And I'm going to start removing a handful of these engine case bolts. Okay, this oil line can come off of here. All right, that oil line is off there. We've got this kind of the same thing underneath here. You know, be careful you don't damage those surfaces. When you're pulling these off, you don't want to stick something down there and damage those. So those need to for sure have to seal. We'll go ahead and pull all of our 8mm off here, otherwise we're going to dump them when we flip this motor upside down. Now we've got a bunch of 10mm bolts we need to remove. A couple down in the case. Can pull this side cover off. Got a larger gear underneath of there. Again, we have our sensor here, our dipstick that sits down in there. We've got our plate here, and that tells the sensor. Okay, our oil sensor here, and we'll remove that. And then we've got two sensors here. We've got a neutral sensor, and I believe this is a reverse sensor. And then this cap right here, we're actually going to want to take off before we go to split that case. It'll actually hold the shaft up there. It's got a spring load, it's got a ball inside there, and at some point that ball will fall out. We have our shift mechanism up top here. Okay, we've got our shift mechanism off there. We've actually pulled it off of this shaft, and this shaft will go back and forth in there. That's that ball that I was telling you about. That's moving that ball around there. So, all right, I'm gonna flip this up. We're gonna pull these bolts off of here and pull this side of the crankcase off. Got a sensor here that we'll remove. A couple 8mm up here. This is behind the primary clutch. Got a sensor we pulled off there, speed sensor. And then that plate will just pop right off of there. Underneath this cover here is how we'll pull that other cam chain. And then that cap will just pop right off of there. Wipe the dirt off because you don't want to just take and dump dirt down in there. Grab one of your 8 or 10mm headed bolts there. Thread that on. You want it threaded down a little ways here. Okay, once you get that threaded in there, you take a pair of pliers. If you're gonna pry up on this, just be careful you don't scuff this up. I try to get it as flat as I can, get a good grip on there, and just take and slam up on it like that. That'll pull that plug off of there, and the bolt will all come with it. Now you've got this cam chain that's gonna be able to come off of here. You can just take and shove that all the way back there. Now you can just take that shaft and pull up, and it'll come straight out of there. That's how you remove both of your cam chains on this Brute Force. Keep that in mind, you got to pull the clutch cover there to get to there. We've got an oil line there that will get removed, but I'm going to flip this over so I can finish showing you how to remove the cam chains. So you can see there, this gear fell down already, and this cam chain is already off. So these cam chains are both out here. And then we've got this guide that's still on there. We've got an Allen that comes in from the other side there that we've got to remove. So at this point, we're going to flip it back over. Going to finish removing these case bolts, and then we can actually split that case there. This guide can be removed. That is the front guide there. Got an oil line here. Again, same as the other side, just be careful you don't damage that. They are a brass tube, so they damage easily, they bend easily. Okay, we'll take and pull these off. We've got an Allen, or I've got an 8mm up top here by the cylinder. I'm going to take a rubber mallet,